All right, beautiful twin flames. So I'm editing a reading. Hopefully that'll be up for you guys tonight. But Spirit was just channeling some information and guidance for me for the beautiful twin flames and how you can really discern who your true twin is based on like past obviously like interactions and then relationships, and that doesn't make sense yet, but it will in a couple seconds. So what do I mean by this? So myself, I was on a false twin journey, so I've spent a lot of years now, several years, quite literally just trying to discern how can somebody just, I mean, because you say when you know, and that's, that's true. But when you're getting psychic guidance, it's confusing, right? And you're still just awakening, and you're not understanding that you create with your thoughts, and that all synchronicities aren't exactly synchronicities. They're self-fulfilled prophecies, essentially. It gets a little bit confusing, right? And like everybody thinks they're a twin. It's not true. Everyone thinks they have a twin. That's not true. Everybody has soulmates, and that's the thing. And so for me, looking back at our history, because this is why they say too that like there are so many opportunities for union. Like me and my true divine masculine have had multiple, but neither of us were anywhere, I guess, close to alignment at those times, right? But they want me to actually like reference it because like a lot of you guys that follow me are true twins, and so this is stuff that I'm really hoping will help you. I've never ever heard of it anybody else talk about it, like, so whatever. And even though I'm seeming like I'm not really saying anything much, but I'm just trying to get the channeling kind of back going is what I'm doing, but I just kind of bring it back up because I cut it off to grab the camera. But so they say that, and it's different for everybody because sometimes there's like 911 situations, and so like a twin flame will be called to a twin flame even when they're in the midst of like really 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 heavy karma, to save them, which is essentially kind of just what I just did with my divine masculine, but that we'll get there. That's the most recent, and we'll start at the past. So when I met my true divine masculine twin flame, I had just come from my first ever adult love relationship and had my child. I had my first son at 19, and it was a very effed up karmic relationship, but was much teaching me a lot as well, of course, right? But yeah, I had just finally, thankfully, like took my power back at that time. He was abusive to me, and I think my son was not quite 18 months old. I was only 20. And yeah, I remember he went to work one day, and I got myself a 26-foot U-Haul. I packed up everything I could, like literally He-Man. My one sister helped me. I did like the majority of the heavy shit. Everything else by myself. I packed everything as quick as I could. And that was it. I left the house in disarray, and me and my kid were out of there. We moved back to Hinton, Alberta. Synchronistic, not so synchronistic. My ex-karmic best friend happened to have gotten kicked in the face by her boyfriend and showed up there at the same time. Now looking back, she was probably sent there just to fuck with me for the rest of my life, but who knows. But anywho, so yeah, shortly after that, like, I think Chad was one of the first people that I met and had a thing with, like, not the first. I was just recently single, and I was 20. I'm like not gonna pretend I wasn't just out there enjoying myself a little bit. I was still a single mom though, so it wasn't like a super slut or anything by that means. You know what I mean? I was just trying to enjoy my life a tiny bit. But I remember when I met him, he was sleeping with one of my other friends who I thought was not attractive. And that sounds weird saying she's my friend, but I was saying that lightly because I didn't want to say I used to sell her drugs. Full disclosure, for those of you that don't know, I am in recovery and have had several relapses over the last 5 years, but been going strong, and then pulled myself out alone both times. But anyways, we'll not talk about that here either. But yeah, they want me to mention it all. They want me to mention all the life stuff, so it's relevant. So anyways, so I was like, well, that sucks. I'm like, I was still very much in my ego, I guess, too then, but I was just like, well, yeah, like if he's been with her, like, no thanks, But then yeah, it was just like, there was just like, I don't know, something, right? And it wasn't even that he was like trying to be like overly flirty with me. It was already just like the really like nonverbal communication, 505. But yeah, I just remember like instantly like, oh, okay, no, I like him. And so we started like casually hooking up. And then I had like just been like really striving to like get a good job. You know, I was really trying to get my life going as a single mom at 20, right? Best I could. And unfortunately, yeah, because I didn't make much money, I was selling a little cocaine. I hadn't actually really been using a whole lot of it at that time, but I started to use more and more at that time, unfortunately, for a bit. Not for long, but for a bit. And fell in love with my DM. In that time, and so I don't know. And so if any of his past, present, whatever, ever see these and think that like if I was the other woman, I never knew that at all. Because yeah, no, he missed the birth of his second child to stay with me and be with me. He didn't when he lived in Kamloops. And I remember I felt guilty about that for so long. I just remember because like the look on his face when he got the message. It was just like, oh shit. And I was like, oh shit, should you go? And he's like, well, not right now. And I was like, okay, well, he went pretty soon after that. But it was just, it was a good time. Like, it was a bad time seemingly looking back. Like, well, you guys were using drugs and whatever, you know? So at first, initially, I thought, you know what? No, I'm like, we met at a karmic time. But really looking back, like, oh no, that was, still sounds really karmic, unfortunately, though. Like, when you come from white trash, nothing, you've literally been abused your entire life as a chosen one, you know? You have a little bit of a rough past sometimes. But, yeah, that was me coming into my power, right? Really just standing up on my own, no support, you know, and I was proud of that. And so looking back, I actually did meet my DM in a more positive time, like a time that I was trying to at least honor myself, right? And trying to strive towards my soul, towards my authenticity. And as soon as I made that decision, right, a really strong, big one to like pack my U-Haul and leave, I met him very, very quickly. But then, yeah, I fell for him so quick, and I thought, like, oh no, I'm probably just rebounding. And I wasn't somebody that ever really, really even wanted to settle down, like, love, only because I'd been so wounded and watched nobody else be, you know, authentic my whole life, or like adult role models, you know. And so I was just like, no thanks, I don't want any of that fake love. Manipulated by the first one, who said I was the love of his life, but that really, I guess, opened my heart chakra, right? And then, yeah, I remember, like, I only had a casual thing with my DM for over 14 years mostly, right? But he would drop me off, and sometimes I would like barely make it out of his truck before like I would be uncontrollably crying. And that wasn't like me, really. Like, it's not to say that I didn't cry. I was always kind of emotional as a super empath, but like that wasn't like me, especially not that time. I was like really too cool for school at that time. Like, ain't nobody phasing me. But like I would just like run in, and my ex karmic best friend that I was living with at the time like would just like hold me, or like just sit with me while I would like cry until I couldn't breathe for a little bit, and then she'd be like, why don't you just tell him? I'll be like, because you just had a baby, and even though they're not together, I would always be like, what if they got back together? And I don't want to do that, and blah blah blah. And so I never did tell him. I loved him for a super long time. And then we hooked up, you know, off and on whenever we were like single and whatever, until right when I met my most recent karmic ex, like the one that's literally my, I guess, probably world's biggest karmic. I mean, thus far, I mean, I'm hoping forever, but like his whole Masonic family is still keeping my child and trying to ruin my life. I was with him from 2016 to 2017, 15 months. In that time, we had a baby and a pregnancy. Left him in March of 2018. He was so psychically abusive. He didn't like leave me alone. Like, was so karmic. Like, to me, still isn't leaving me alone, but like wouldn't even like leave my house that was mine, that I moved out of, got into by myself, and then would tell everybody we were still together. Be at my house every day on my couch, making me like clean up after him, cook after him. Everyone's like, well, why would you do? Because he was 6'4", 240 pounds of complete psycho, and I mean like grab me and throw me around psycho, and like make my kids watch me have panic attacks and not be able to breathe on the ground kind of psycho. So it was just really, really better to really try to appease him if at all possible, even though nothing really made him happy, as an actual covert undiagnosed narcissist. raised by two of the same and dangerous ones. So, anyhow, to wrap that up quick, I then, in the casual relationship with my true DM, met a super karmic. So then I was with my super karmic. They tell me, but my DM hasn't told me that exactly. But just from some of the things that, like, with our text, he was putting some thoughts into me. Like, no, he never ever asked me out seriously, but like I think for a minute, maybe, like, probably just even 1 minute, he thought that. But it was at the time that I was, like, seriously, like, almost married, right, wifed up kind of thing, miserable and dying inside of being abused. But I never told him that. And then he got with somebody very seriously. He turned out to be a super huge psycho, narcissistic karmic to him. And then when I was leaving my relationship and then starting to feel this twin flame stuff and awakening to all that stuff and then projecting that onto the guy that I had been seeing more frequently at that time, who was what I guess now call my false twin, even though he was still a high-level soulmate to me. And then I really, at that time, I was wanting to and thinking of, like, well, if he was around, like, maybe I'd ask him if we wanted to, like, maybe just try something a little bit more frequent, than what we were. But he was, like, living with somebody for, like, the first time in 10 years since we'd known each other. And then, yeah, super big fucking huge karmic lesson for him. Then on my path of trying to figure out, like, okay, who is my true twin flame? And on my way to him, I had a little blip karmic soulmate who's now fucking and dating my little sister, who both of them together have, like, robbed me and done so many sick things. Like, it's just, the karmics just keep piling up. And now we just had a union opportunity. My guides had me buying wedding clothes. Like, I'm not even kidding you guys. Everything I say makes me sound like a crazy person, but, like, I even told him and my family, I told everybody all the time, because, like, even my son, I would point them out everywhere we went. I'd be like, look, bride, I do, wedding. Like, I was like, I don't know who, because at the time I was super single. Even I wasn't even aligned with my DM quite yet when I started to buy the clothes. I said, but my guides have me buying just random wedding clothes. I said, like, because one of these times, I said, I feel like I'm gonna just have to, like, go get married. I was like, and I'm gonna want at least some options depending on what season it is, So, like, right now I quite literally have a couple of different outfits, and they're all, like, super casual. Well, actually, no, one's kind of dressy, but it's not like a nice expensive wedding dress by any means, but, like, still nice stuff that I was, like, wanting to piece together and stuff, because I was getting the signs that sure. And still know that I'm going to get married soon, and I still know that I'm supposed to have a daughter with my person. I'm 35, and quite literally still being attacked by said Masonic group, but thankfully now certain other ones are realizing that, like, this was all just a power trip, and that they all, like, really did some really severe fucking things for absolutely no reason. It's kind of cray. The purpose is kind of cray. But yeah, so now here we are back in, like, a separation, I guess. And I just want to know a really, really funny story about synchronicities. Where is it? I have to show you on this very long video, because the only few of you that made it through this are the very select few, probably true twins anyways, that actually give a shit to hear me babble on about all the deets. So, where is that book? Shit. It's just too perfect to not show it. Oh, whatever, I'll edit all this out anyways, but... Oh, where's my... Yeah, okay, it's my... I've been using it as a bookmark. Oh, did it pull up my phone? Oh, no, it's right there. So, I'll tell you the story first. My DM and I had already had him get a new karmic over the summer after I'd already moved here. And so then we were already having some issues after I just moved here. Like, it was, like, so great to just, like, 0 to 100 or 100 to 0, right? But then we reconnected, and he was coming over to check out my new house I just got, and it was still empty. And we go up to the front doors, and I'd only been there once before, I think, during the day. And I walked to the door, and I didn't see this stuck to the door because he's taller than me. I opened the door, and I walked, and I was like, yeah, come on in. And he grabs this, and he goes, oh, this was in the door. So it says, the best choice in your life. And he didn't tell me, but, like, I knew at that time that he was deliberating me over another person a bit, or maybe more than one, I don't know, but one for sure. And then I said, oh, that's God speaking to you. He goes, I don't believe in God. I said, well, you should. And then, yeah, he left it. He just like put it down. And then we went to leave. I was like, oh, I'm like, just wait, just throw this out. I'm like, I'm keeping it. I was like, plus, like, you know, best choice of your life. Just laughing though, because like 1515, you know, he's still like struggling. I don't believe in God. God's literally like fucking handing him things like this, like into his hand as he walks into my house. Best choice in your life. You know, just so funny. I'm just like laughing. This famous quote means a person makes a series of choices from birth to death. And this is what he promised us, even eternal life. Bam. So looking back, there weren't like lots of opportunities, right? Because we weren't the dating types. Like we weren't like, we were both so wounded that we were non-committal both. That's why I went 1555. When I say I became the chaser, I'm like, why did that one? Like, but it makes sense. Like I am the more people pleaser based on my, being raised by severe chauvinistic fucking narcissistic father who just bred me that way, right? But yeah, had we had either just been a little bit honest about how we were feeling, even if it was very like, immature and like we'd never seriously dated, like the feelings were always there, I know, since the get-go. And so had either of us been honest with ourselves, with each other, not saying that I like don't want my child, but the divine has also not helped me, which means I know that it's not my path yet, get my child back from this Masonic abusers. Like, and when I say that, people think like I must have, because I said I was a drug addict, like I must have lost them. I never ever did. I have like everything to speak to all the corruption. I have been putting it all together for court, so like it will be all available online soon. But I mean, like I paint a pretty real picture that nobody can ever argue with, and I never asked for this. They did it to me, and now everybody's fucked. But anyways, at the same time, it fucked me and my children. I have not had my child back for 3 whole years. And the divine, literally, they're like, obviously, they're like, he's so gifted. Like, and so me and my DM are supposed to have a really gifted child, 1717, but like, my youngest is so psychic. Like, it's nuts how in tune him and I are. So, I mean, like, not that just him being special, you know what I mean? Like, whatever, he's my sweet baby, and I would never regret having him. But like they quite literally showed me like that wasn't supposed to happen. Not like that. What my DM went through with his fucking karmic wasn't supposed to happen. Fun fact, him and his karmic and me, my karmic best friend of 20 years, were in Mexico within like 3 to 4 weeks of each other at like the almost exact location. Not the same resort, same exact city and spot though in Mexico. For real. We didn't know that until after. Just like one of those funny twinsy things. Oh, another fun twin fact. Our oldest children look like brother and sister. More alike than they look like their younger siblings. Not kidding. Feature to feature. It's fucking freaky, actually. I wish I had the rights to fucking show you guys, but since I don't and I can't, and that would be weird right now, I'm not going to. But like, oh, it's so funny. When I first, I'm like, he had seen my son and met my son lots, and like I'd obviously heard of his daughter forever and seen pictures of her as a kid, but I hadn't really seen any like recent, and I wasn't gonna push, like we weren't even officially dating yet. And I mean, like all I've ever wanted was to meet his kids, just to see like little parts of him or whatever, but just didn't want to be super I'm already enough, right, with this twin flame path. But he knew my fucking kid. So the first time I seen his daughter came up on my Facebook, on my people you may know. I'd never looked her up before. He said, well, she would never have looked you up. She doesn't know who you are. But I'm like, well, she came across it. I'm like, so I did click on it. I told him straight up, I'm like, I had to. I'm like, she's your daughter. Like, how could I not want to see what she looked like? And, just kind of a little peek at her life real quick. But I'm just looking at her first photo. I'm like, look at it next to my child's. I'm like, trying to think back. I'm like, did the divine take memories from me? And like, did I meet Chad before? Is he maybe, like, seriously? Because like our kids are, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that doesn't, like, even with my magic path, that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I say, oh, I'm not really sure. That's only just because I'm trying to be super and surrender and not like force things. I'm sure. But that's how you can kind of be sure, like looking at your actual life patterns and how they overlap. And so if you haven't met your twin and you're just like on this path because you've seen them online and you don't feel any of those things or know any of those things, I'm not going to just tell you right now that you're not a twin flame, but it's a very strong indicator that you're not. And that you're just meant to go down this path to find your soul and align with a soulmate, which, trust, is the easier prize. Like, and it doesn't, like, anybody, it's this whole, like, thing that they're trying to place division, like the dark agenda with twin flames, right? It's, like, making some people very, like, envious of it. Other people are so, like, dismissive of it. But really, everybody's just, like, a little bit envious because we all do want love. Even the most narcissistic people, in their own way, they want all that love, right? And so people want love, want to be loved. But the thing is, everybody who's awakening to their truth gets to be with their true people or person or match or who they're meant for, right? Which means that you'll be the happiest that you could ever be, regardless of what the label is, you know? So I just wanted to spit that out there right now as everybody's trying to realize and come to the truth that there really is only 144,000 sets of twin flames, for a specific purpose. There, of course, there's like contingency things, like with, you know, false twins, soul walk-ins, you know, there's things like that when people are aligned and the purposes are there and variables, you know, it's all a big puzzle. So it's a very intricate web. And so there, you know, there are some variables sometimes. But yeah, if you look back, at one point or another in your strong moment, even in the midst of, you know, maybe literal living chaos, you had a strong moment. In that window, that was alignment. That's when you would have met your twin. You don't typically meet them at your lowest point. Even if it's in the midst of a lowest point, it'll be that strong spike on the, whatever kind of graph that is. I'm sorry, I'm tired today, but. Oh, and they're trying to kill me. So see whatever's on my face, even if I fucking open the window at night, because they've had the same guy now stationed above my room for 2 days. Like, I'm not kidding when I tell you guys they're trying to kill me. That's actually true. And they're using very, like, obviously biological things that would be hard to prove. But the list is so long now, it's pretty much damn provable. Especially with all the stuff I keep sending to the labs and things and all, whatever. Just me being this beautiful babe. But yeah, just in the last hour, my guides were having me channel stuff about, like, RSV. You know, they're just like regular influenza things. So I think that now they know they've got my immune system so low, they just keep doing whatever, like putting like really fucking infested like mice and things like that in my house that were making me quite sick on repeat, just to really try and hit me from all angles. Plus the magic. Plus they had this fucking Finnish frickin' like spiritual little assassins with the whole fucking magnetic thing going on in my house trying to fucking give me a heart attack. No joke. I had to straight up like show them what a heart's capable of, you know, electric magnetic fields, all that stuff. They're still trying me. The guy up there's got something too, so I don't know what it is. They're not stupid though. They're not dumb. I'm going to make a whole other video for you chosen ones though on all the stuff that I've found that they've been using to try to kill me, so you guys can all protect yourselves, because it's all real life shit. Like, of course, it's going to be hard to prove that, right? Unless you're a beautiful fucking divine channel psychic. And you got more of them. Friends. Alright. If you guys made it through this, thanks for watching. I never ever planned to do this, and so I hope that you got the valuable tidbits of shit you got from my life that you needed. And I love you so much, beautiful souls.